We're doing a family review of the 2025 Mazda CX-70 flagship, well, co-flagship with the CX-90. This is just a two-row variant of the CX-90. So we're gonna review this through the scope of a mom and dad today. Cassie's behind the camera. We got Gigi, we're taking her to her first day of preschool today. Abe's already napping hard away, so let's get into it. And it all starts under the hood. You got two powertrain options on the CX-70, just like the CX-90. You have two different tunes of this inline six 3.3 liter, mated to an 8-speed automatic. Now, all of them are hybrids of different degrees. Now, this is the higher tuned 3.3 liter inline six, around 340 horsepower, if memory serves me correctly, and around 369 pound-feet of torque. But you can get a detuned version of this on the lower grades. If you would rather have a more efficient experience, we'll talk about fuel economy in a little bit, but if you want a more efficient experience and you can plug in at home, there's the plug-in hybrid with the 2.5 liter. That is a really good option. Watch my review on the CX-90 plug-in hybrid, because we really like that vehicle. I want to say I got around 30 miles of electric range on that. But from exterior dimensions, this is identical to the CX-90. The front bumper is a little bit different. Cass, what do you think about the front end of the CX-70?
The grill's nice. I think the grill and the intricacies of the grill design says that it's a luxury.
Okay.
It's not just like straight line grill. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
To me, it looks luxury.
Yeah.
To me, it does.
The grill design, the way that the
you like the headlights?
The headlights, yeah.
The headlights definitely don't look cheap.
They do not look cheap. They're bright.
Yes. Now, this portion down here, I like how it looks here on the CX-70 better than the CX-90. The CX-90 doesn't have that black piece. It's a little bit more sculpted, a little bit more three-dimensional, but I like this how this looks a little bit sportier. So we come to the side, we have 21-inch wheels here on this Premium Plus, and we can talk about this paint color. I want to say this is the Zircon Sand Metallic that's been on a few Mazda vehicles for the past few years. Cassie and I you're not the biggest fans, but it's not terrible. It's unique. Terrible. I'll say that, it's unique. It doesn't really look like anything else.
It screams Mazda, because I feel like I've only ever seen this particular color on a Mazda. So.
I would agree. Now this garnish here lets you know you have the inline six. I'll wait for the trash truck to go by because it's loud. And then this fancy garnish below that, as well as inline six, you don't get these two badges on the lower inline six models, even though they have an inline six. So they just kind of dumb it down for the base trims. Also on the base trims, you won't have the paint matched wheel arches and paint matched bottom portion, nor will you have this nice darkened chrome running strip at the bottom. On the CX-90, you have that same running strip, but it's a much brighter chrome, like it's blindingly bright. Here, I like how it's dulled down. It looks pretty sporty, it looks good. Window trim here is all blacked out, where the CX-90, I wanna say they will have portions of it. I wanna say this top portion is all chromed out. It looks good there, but I kinda like this more blacked out look on the CX-70 and the black roof rails as well. We're gonna come to the back here. The rear is very similar to the CX-90, right? These little pieces here on the side seem a little bit different to me. All CX-70s, by the way, all Mazda crossovers for that matter in America are all-wheel drive. Even though this is a rear-wheel drive biased vehicle, we'll talk more about that when we drive, it's still able to put power to the front wheels. All right, this is where the CX-70 is a lot different, and I'll just take this real quick. This is where it's a lot different than the CX-90. There's no third row of seats. There's a little bit of underfloor storage way back here, but you really have to open this up, which I'm not gonna do since we have some stuff back here. Now, we're able to plug in accessories. We have 150 watts of power. You also have a 12 volt back here, which also gives you 120 watts of power. Just tons and tons of cargo space. And I guess this is maybe one of the reasons I'm trying to figure this out. This is one of the reasons, this is almost a two-hand job, there we go. This is one of the reasons you get this vehicle over the CX-90 is if you never plan on using that third row of seats and you just want to stuff a ton of stuff back here. Yeah, this is one of the biggest cargo areas I've ever seen on any vehicle that is a two-row vehicle. And this is also one of the longest tonneau covers I've seen as a result. All right, Gigi's calling for us, so we're gonna go ahead and lower this. Oh, and by the way, I can fold down these rear seats, which I won't be doing because there's children in them, which is nice to have because those seats are so far away in the back. So, all right, Gigi girl, what are you saying, love?
I have a little camera.
Oh, it's not a camera, it's a light. She has a nice LED light, so at nighttime you'll be able to see a little bit better. Also, she's got this panoramic roof in here. Abe's sound asleep. We should probably raise the sunshade on that side. Gigi's been asking for this sunshade to be up. This morning, my other daughter was asking for it to be down. But yeah, it's been a sunshade show. There's Cass putting it up for us. There we go. And there you go. It really dims that sun, that harsh sun coming in on the baby with these sunshades here. I don't know what trim level they start coming on, but if you plan on having little kids in the back, I really highly recommend getting a trim level with these window shades. We have two USB-Cs back here. We do have vents, but unfortunately we don't have vents on the roof line, and that would really help baby Abe stay nice and cool, help Gigi stay nice and cool. So that's kind of a knock there. Would have loved to have additional vents on the ceiling like our minivan has, for example. We also have heated outboard seats here and individual climate control for this second row. I would say it's not the easiest for the kids to get in between the seat. Even though these seats, I can move forwards and back, as you can see, this seat's all the way back. So the kids can kind of crawl between there underneath Abe's seat, but for a rear facing seat, it does take up a lot of space. And it is not as roomy as, let's say, a minivan. And it does have a fold down cup holder situation. So I'm gonna give the camera back to Cass, and we're gonna get in the front seat and talk about the CX-70 up front. There's a lot to go over in here, and in fact, this interior feels almost identical to the CX-90 that Cass and I have reviewed before, with this tan/caramel interior. We absolutely love the suede here. We have suede on the inserts of the door, leather wrapped like handles, leather here, and Mazda continues its trend in all of its vehicles of having the world's most comfortable elbow rests. So as you dig it into the door or in the middle, they just sink in. It's super comfortable. I haven't tested the Bose sound system in there, so I'm just gonna leave that one there for you guys. I haven't been blasting tunes with the kids in the car. The stitching, the materials, and I'm gonna show you guys another example. I mentioned the stitching on the dash, but look at this, the stitching on the steering wheel, this tight knit pattern. No one really tries to attempt this because it's really hard to do nicely. All right, so you can see it's not perfect, but I'm not expecting it to be perfect in a car that costs what this does. The fact that Mazda is ballsy enough to try that on a vehicle that's not even a luxury car is impressive, and they pulled it off quite well. We do have heated and ventilated seats. I'll go ahead and turn those on so Cassie can tell you what her impressions are on the ventilated seats. She's more opinionated on them than I am typically.
I don't like very low ventilated seats, like lower on the back, but this one's nice.
Okay.
This is good.
That's good?
It's really nice.
Okay, all right, there you go. She approves of the ventilated seats.
Yeah, when it's too low, it feels funny, but it's
like low back is what it feels like to me.
But it's not like all the way, you know, where you sit, like your bum. So like,
I wouldn't say, it's not like your butt's getting majorly cool. It's like more of like a low back.
Which is kind of nice.
Well, something that you would prefer is to have the cup holders close to you.
Yes.
So if you need to divvy out drinks to the back seats, a little bit easier.
Yes.
We have a leather wrap shifter here. It's over and down for drive. And you can see we have a 360 camera, which there's a shortcut to right here by the shifter, as well as downhill ascent control. All right, so you can see people walking behind us, sort of situation. And to get back into Android Auto, which I have plugged in here, I believe it is wireless as well, but I prefer to use my MagTame cords. Go ahead and check the link in the description for MagTame to get 10% off with my promo code KIRK10 for their excellent fast charging, reliable magnetic stowable cables, which I've featured in other videos before. So how you get into Android Auto is you just press up on the little rotary dial, get straight into Android Auto, nice 12-inch screen here, and it is touchscreen, okay? So I really appreciate that. It's a better setup than it was on the CX-30 that I reviewed recently, because that touchscreen was too far back. It was like awkward. I really had to get out of my seat. This I actually don't really have to get out of my seat. So it is recessed, but it is not inconvenient. All right, I mentioned the steering wheel is fantastic. We have radar cruise control, lane keep assist, fully digital screen back here. I've been idling the heck out of this car a lot with picking kids up from school. So at worst, I'm seeing about 20 miles per gallon. At best, I'm seeing about 25 miles per gallon, depending on how much I'm doing stop and go, how much I'm running the AC and whatnot. So we have Me Drive, which reminds me of Nintendo Wii, the Me characters. But we have off-road, normal, and sport. I've just been keeping it in normal mode. I like having the tachometer here. I like having the fuel gauge here. Your fuel economy, it tells you, you know, current fuel economy. Obviously, we're getting 0 right now as the engine is idling to power the AC. We also have paddle shifters. We have an electronic moving steering wheel. We have memory seats. And it's got a lot of fancy stuff. So I think we're just about ready for those sunglasses holders out there. Cassie loves sunglasses.
Oh, yeah.
So this is all felt lined, very stowable, very nice. Map lights up there. We have garage door openers, and we also have LED light, vanity lights. Does it flip out? Yes, it does. So I think we're ready to start driving. Any other comments before we get on the road, Cass?
Just love the look of it.
Yeah, it's really
Just
nice
like
in here.
Beautiful. It's
pretty.
It's not luxury, you said?
No, they're not. They're like a semi-premium brand at this point with this car, with how it's priced. Yeah, so we'll talk more about that when we start driving. All right, putting the CX, I almost said the CX-90, but the CX-70 into drive here. Honestly, this car drives exactly like the CX-90. Big surprise, first of all, not really, right? Because it's the same car, just the third row is taken out. The front bumpers look a little bit different, right? Oh God, the front loader. Jeez, that thing's
Scared
huge.
you.
All right, get into the brakes. All right, this is a perfect opportunity to start talking about how this thing drives.
Like butter. No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
it's not like butter. It is very mechanical feeling. It's not the world's smoothest vehicle. Would I say it's luxury? It's like half luxury, half not. The materials on here, the features in here, the design in here, that's all luxury. And the build quality, absolutely luxury. The thing feels like a tank. This thing is a tank that can handle, but I don't have a lot of turns in Florida, and you're not going to see any turns in this video, but just know that when I have taken this through the turns, it's just fun to accelerate out of them and push the handling just a little bit in here. Ride quality's acceptable. It's on the firmer end. I would prefer to have a model with smaller rims or smaller wheels, thicker tires, to have a better ride in here. But overall, like in a straight line, it's pretty sporty. And then when you throw it through the turns, it feels nice and planted. And then a lot of that power coming through the acceleration, through the rear wheels. It is a fun to drive vehicle. The steering is fantastic in here. It's identical to the CX-90. So all of its strengths are the same as the CX-90. All its weaknesses are the same. So what are some of the weaknesses? Well, the iStop system here is still pretty, it just doesn't feel like it's fully like worked out at this point. Got to keep in mind, this vehicle, this platform, CX-90 to CX-70 to CX-60 in other markets, etc. These vehicles are still brand new. It's still in their teething phase. Abe knows all about that. There's just some kinks to get worked out of. And so with this iStop technology in particular, when I'm like, it just happened. As I'm slowing down to a red light, the engine will die, and then it'll just kick back on, and then die again, and then kick back on. Now, it seems smoother than I remember in the CX-90, the first CX-90 that I reviewed, but it is still something that I prefer to not interrupt my driving experience. Luckily, there's an iStop off button over here, but it will kill your fuel economy. So the engine won't turn off at a stop, but here in Florida, when it's 87 degrees at 9 o'clock, I want the engine on all the time anyways to provide the AC.
Right.
Okay, so it's this, they call this a mild hybrid, but it's more of like a standard hybrid in that the engine will turn off even if you're going fast. You're going 60 miles an hour and you're coasting, the engine will turn off. Or even worse, when you're coasting to a stop and you want that power, let's say the light goes green while you're coasting to a stop, the engine's not there. So it has to fire the engine back on, and it's just not responsive in that regard. It's jolting, and it's not giving me what I want when I want it, which can be a safety thing too. So I just disable the iStop at the cost of fuel economy. And if you like cherish fuel economy, don't get this variant. Get the plug-in hybrid, because with the engine that turns on and off in the plug-in hybrid, it's really designed to do that. You don't really know when the engine's on or off. The electric propulsion on there is night and day compared to this, so the car can actually drive under electric power quite well. It's not quick, but it can do it. All right, it's not bothered by it. Where here it's like, oh, I don't have the gas engine available. I turned it off to save fuel, and then when you want it, it's just like you're waiting for it. Anyway, so I stop. I'm done beating it. Just disable it by this button over here. Okay, if it doesn't bother you, then you don't have to disable it, and you can actually get 25 miles per gallon, maybe even better if you're lucky. The performance, though, in a straight line is impressive. We'll see, like, we'll be able to get around this guy in the van.
Oh, jeez.
It sounds good. It feels good when it shifts through the gears, it rolls through the gears. It is awesome. This is a driver's SUV that also looks and feels very premium.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were saying about this interior, like...
Oh, yeah, this is the scheme I go for, the color scheme. I just love it. I love the material. The suede.
The suede is nice.
The suede is nice. The stitching is gorgeous. As someone who likes to sew and embroider, stitching is nice. I like the side panels too.
Yeah, and there's no glossy
no chrome.
Black,
is
or
there
there's
chrome?
no chrome.
No, well there's chrome right here.
Maybe here.
It's not obnoxious.
I haven't been blinded yet, so, and there is some around the shifter. But since I haven't been blinded, it doesn't really bother me. The feel of the steering wheel, this two-tone steering wheel, is just incredible. But personally, even though in my mind I romanticize about the idea of a Japanese inline six, I personally prefer the plug-in hybrid of this as well on the CX-90. The thing is, they're more expensive typically. So unless you can get a good deal on the CX-90 and CX-70 plug-in hybrids, the CX-7 or the inline six is going to be the cheaper option. But it's just not as, I would say, refined as the plug-in hybrid. The downshifts, oof, really smooth and quick. And the engine, it does like to rev a little bit, but since it's turbocharged, you don't need to rev it that much. And in fact, in daily driving, I never really rev it much past like 3,500 RPM. It doesn't feel like you get that much more power at the top end of the rev range. So, and that's very similar actually to Mazda's 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder. This is a very similar feeling that I get between the two. Even the transmission shifts, even though this is a completely different transmission than, like, let's say the CX-5 and the CX-30 I've reviewed, it feels very much cut from the same cloth. It still feels that Mazda DNA. And when it comes to the handling, the steering feel here, you have some of that MX-5 DNA built in. A lot of shove coming through the rear wheels, and a very precise and nicely weighted steering feel. So Cass, who would you say this car would be for?
A mom, just because I think it's so fancy. Mom would love it.
Absolutely.
A mom with maybe 1 or 2 kids.
1 or 2 kids.
Yeah, there's plenty of space for a nice, like, 2-seater stroller. You know, you can fit your Mockingbird back there. Very nice. Plenty of room for your kiddos if it's 2 kids. 3 kids might be a little squishy. And it's just like nice material. I feel like, oh, it's just so nice. It's for mom. It's for mom. Or a
mom that wants to be treated nice. Maybe not have like maybe not have like all the eyes on her if she's in a fancy luxury car
Right.
like a Lexus or a Cadillac or something.
Sometimes
It's a little
too
incognito,
much.
but it looks
But
the
in
part
the
compared
inside,
to those.
it is such a nice daily
Yeah.
driver.
Oh my gosh, the seats are
comfy.
very comfortable.
It's very comfy. It's very practical inside.
Yeah.
I mean, it says nice without. It's like silent. It's silent luxury at this point. It doesn't scream.
And
I'm fancy.
I feel like that's a bit of its Japanese persona. It's built in Japan, and like we know that the Japanese culture, it's very minimal when it comes to interior designs and their traditional styled homes, right? Very minimal but elegant at the same time,
It's just
which fits our
It
personalities.
whispers. It whispers how nice it is.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's nice to come out of a car that's comfy and drives really well and handles well, and your kids are gonna be safe in it. You know.
This vehicle feels like it feels like a tank.
Yeah.
It's not body on frame, but it almost feels like it. It just feels super sturdy, really well built.
That's really comforting
safe.
as a mom
Yes.
and as a dad.
I would agree.
Yeah. It's a good car.
And the great thing is I just pull up my camera
Ooh, I love
because
that.
this vehicle is big, and having the 360 camera is a bit of a cheat code, and I totally screwed up that parking job, but you know what? I can just redo it and keep my eyes on the camera and get a really, really nice, perfect parking spot. Like a glove. And that's how I feel in the CX-70, the CX-90. Like I said, I personally prefer the plug-in hybrid.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's much more refined.
Right.
All the bugs have been worked out. There's no weirdness going on with the iStop technology or the transmission, which, by the way, we didn't mention this. When you're slowing down and the fan speeds are on low in here, you can hear the transmission downshift.
Right.
And you said it sounded like an emergency vehicle.
I thought it sounded like an emergency vehicle, so it's a little you have to get used to that.
Reggie thought it was an airplane.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there
is a sound.
There's a transmission whine or an electric motor whine that happens as a car decelerates to a stop. I kind of like it because I can tell what the car is doing. So it's from an enthusiast aspect, it's kind of cool to hear that and to feel it. But from a luxury aspect, I would say it's not a luxury thing because you just kind of want to be removed from
from
what's
everything.
going. Yeah, exactly.
You want to sit in your peace bubble.
This is not the car if you want to be removed from the driving experience. This car is asking you to be involved in it. And I think that is pretty unique because what 3-row crossover is going to do that? There's very, very few out there unless you're spending a lot of money for a German car or something. But Gigi, last words?
I realize.
AB's awake. Well,
Works out.
it's a good time to finish up this review. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more Mazda reviews. Not sure what's coming next for Mazda down the hatch. Maybe the CX-50 hybrid. We love hybrids.
Yes.
As Prius owners, and I've been reviewing the new Camry hybrid this week. It's an incredible vehicle. That Camry hybrid will be going into the Mazda CX-50. So I'm excited to test that out. But thank you guys for watching. Signing out from the gorgeous and plush and fun to drive CX-70. Can you say, today we're reviewing the Mazda CX-70.
Say, I love the Mazda CX-70.
I said that.
Say it again.
I love a song that CX-70.
Nice job.